It's day 22 of the Advent calendar, my friends. Yesterday we talked about initial researches, listening, and finishing them. Today we'll talk about mission types, environments, and human error.
The time has come to reclaim our world. Welcome back, Commander.
Incoming transmission.
Day 22, strategy, mission types. So, mission types, you're going to face a variety of different missions as you play XCOM 2. It's part of the fun of the game. Mixing up the different mission types really makes it an interesting long-term experience, because playing the same mission over and over, even with different troops and different loadouts, can be really boring. Thankfully, the environments are all randomly generated, which means that you won't have to suffer through the same maps over and over and over again. But the different mission types and the variety of missions is really going to make the game a lot of fun. So what are the mission types and what can you expect from each? I'm going to give you what I know and what I guess. So the first mission type we've ever seen was sabotage the monument. That probably is going to show up again. It was the very first mission type. I haven't seen any of the Let's Players hit another sabotage one, but I haven't watched everyone extensively. It seemed like in that one you had the goal of placing an explosive in a particular spot. So you had to go to a spot, and it's kind of like tag the spot and then extract. It did look like a lot of fun because you get to fight across in a region, and then you set your own extraction zone. At least, you know, that's how I have it in the demo. And then flee while Advent reinforcements popped up. Okay, that's fairly standard. One of the ones I've seen, supply raid. This is where you can gain a lot of supplies by attacking an Advent convoy. Seem to be an on-rails train. I would suspect they're probably always an on-rails train. So once you find the rails in this map, then you know that the train will be in one direction or the other on those rails. So that's a nice little indicator of where you might have to go. It seems like this happens out in the wilderness. I'm not sure if this mission type is like unavailable in city centers, where I'd assume the convoy would, you know, that might not have made sense to the developers, and it might only happen out in the wilderness is when you can take advantage of raiding one of these trains. But maybe not. That's something to keep in mind and look out for, is what kind of terrain it pops up in. In that one, I know that if you damage specific items on the map, you lose supplies. So you have to be careful, presumably around the train. Retaliation missions, kind of like XCOM 2012's terror missions. These missions are where the aliens bring in troops to terrorize civilians, and they can apparently sneak in faceless as human into the civilian population, whereas your objective is actually to save, I think it was 6 humans, 6 civilians. Somewhere amongst those civilians are some giant lurking monsters. Seeing them in action, the faceless aren't quite as bad as they sound. You definitely need to concentrate fire to take them down, and they're definitely tougher than a mech, but not by much. The mech has armor, the faceless did not seem to. But remember, battle scanners can reveal faceless if you're questioning whether a civilian is a monster. I didn't see the civilian actually move before it transformed into a faceless, so I would just kind of make sure that when you go to rescue civilians, you have the area well covered in actions. That is, you're not doing it at the end of your turn. Just treat every civilian as if it might be an alien pod that you have to activate by getting close to it, and you'll definitely feel better about it. There was the recover item mission type, and this is where you have to go somewhere and like hack a data vault or something. There's something hidden somewhere on the map. Not hidden. There's a revealed item on the map that you have to travel to recover and then kill everything or leave, I guess. So that's fairly standard, much like the sabotage mission. It's go to a place, do a thing, and then end the mission. There's VIP extraction, where it seems like in some of these at least, you begin the mission not concealed. These other ones, I believe you are concealed at the beginning of each of them. The VIP extraction, however, I have seen an example where the full squad was not concealed. I will note that I've seen that a ranger that has the ability to maintain concealment when the rest of the squad is revealed will actually begin concealed even if no one else does at the beginning of a mission. Meaning that that perk will always be relevant, and I think really strengthening the value of that perk. And the fact that there are a couple mission types where you don't have much of a concealment phase. Only the rangers with that one perk or other characters who've gained that perk from the Advanced Warfare Center will be concealed. I think ups the value of the ability, the perk that lets you conceal yourself. I believe it is called Conceal. And go back into the shadows. I think that is pretty useful. You can only use it once per mission, but on a VIP extraction might be optimal since no one else can be concealed. It would let your ranger participate in fights and then once again scout for you. Particularly important is scouting on VIP missions, I would say, because all you have to do is get your guy out. You have to hustle the ball to the extraction zone. The extraction zone is mandated for you, and it's probably a ways away. But all you have to do is get him there, which means that if you know the enemy movements, you can dance around them quite easily and be done. I'm pretty sure you need to then kill all the aliens on the map because, you know, why not wreck a good alien party? But once you get the VIP out of there, you don't risk losing them. And of course, the VIP is your reward for these missions, being an engineer, scientist, civilian who cannot fight back. I would highly, highly recommend you never let the aliens see the VIP, because like I've said before, in XCOM 2012, the aliens could not miss the VIP, and every alien did enough damage to kill the VIP instantly. So, be very cautious with your VIP. I would expect in XCOM 2 that aliens can miss them, but you never know. And they might have priority targeting on them, so one officer could mark them and the rest of the people could mow them down. Oh, excuse me. The next mission, Hack Workstation. In this one, it really helps to bring a specialist so that you can get that ranged hack on the workstation. We've noted the workstation, there's a countdown timer to, matter of fact, let's see. I believe there's a timer in all of these except for the retaliation mission and the supply raid. Maybe not the sabotage mission, but you never know. VIP extraction, I believe you have to get everyone in the extraction zone in the correct amount of time. Hack Workstation, you're on a timer to hack a specific item on the map. You can do so at range with the gremlin, which is really important to keep that gremlin user, that specialist, active and healthy so that they can do so. And and it's hack the item and then kill everything, and maybe extract yourself. So yeah, consider time pressure is against you. On the missions where you know there's time pressure, I would suggest bringing more AoE explosives to destroy cover, because that can make really short work of stuff. And on the missions where there are no time limits, wow, I don't know, I would go with concealment so that you can set up really good ambushes. If there is no time limit, I would suggest If you can, leaving one ranger ghosted almost the whole mission and setting up very careful ambushes where you try and finish everyone off with all the other squad mates, because then that ghosted ranger can keep you very, very safe as long as in pumping information back to you so you can make good tactical decisions. We've seen the Black Site mission where you assault the alien, the Advent Black Site, and these missions seem to be, you know, tougher than normal. They weren't so bad. More aliens, not a bad map. You do have to fight your way across the map, grab an item, and then extract on the opposite side of the item. So it's quite a haul. Mobility can be kind of important. You do seem to have to fight enemies all the way across, so it's a pretty big running battle. And on anything longer or harder, remember to bring an extra med kit. Dark VIPs is a map type. I haven't actually seen one of these from the people I've been watching, but to my knowledge, you have to either assassinate or capture the VIP. Now, the VIP is pulled from your character pool. We'll talk about that in day 23. But yeah, the Dark VIP is an interesting one, and I like it. A new flip. I assume there's a timer until they are off the map, and perhaps they even travel across the map, which would be really cool. Sharpshooter, of course, would be really good. I believe the VIP is always a civilian, which makes them quite weak. It also suggests that there will be a ton of aliens because it'd be really easy to kill a civilian. And I assume they want to make it really hard on you. I do know there's going to be UFO assaults. We have seen landed UFO maps in some of the screenshots and videos. So we know they exist. I don't know much about them. I assume it's a good way to capture alien resources like alloys and Illyrium cores and Illyrium. But we have not seen a whole lot about it. Obviously, they'll be pretty well defended. They may actually be difficult. There might be a short timer to get to them on the strategic map, which could make it interesting. You might have to drop everything you're doing and head for that UFO to assault it, and you might have to have pretty good troops on hand. So that is an intriguing idea. I wonder if it probably won't be taking off, so you might have all the time in the world. And the last mission type that I know exists out there is the Avenger base defense. That is where you defend the Avenger because it's been brought down by a hunter UFO. I just finished watching Christopher Odd's video about this, and there are some really interesting special rules to this mission. For one, you can bring wounded soldiers, whereas in every other mission type, you've not been able to. They have to stay there full time in the hospital before they can be used normally, but not in a base defense. You can pull out anyone. You gain 2 additional squad size. He had a base squad size of 4, which was increased to 6 for the base defense. Presumably, if you've already purchased squad size increases, that gives you even more soldiers, up to 8 initial squad size. And you every now and then receive a reinforcement from the barracks. It seemed I saw 3 more soldiers come in via the reinforcement mechanic over the course of the first like 4 or 5 turns. Your objective here in the base defense is not only to prevent enemies from reaching your ramp, which it does have a nice like heavy cover wall and low cover side segments. You got to keep enemies off the ramp or kill them quite quickly. I did see a enemy stand on the ramp for a second, and for 1 turn. It ended its turn on the ramp, and then it was killed. And since Central Bradford said, "All right, good, they're all gone," like I assume that if it stayed there too long, you would lose. I'm not totally sure, but it also might have caused the cover the heavy cover at the ramp to disintegrate when the enemy was standing on it, or maybe it was a stun lancer, and they've noticed that sword attacks tend to damage cover beside him, so it might have been just some kind of fluke that the cover died because, you know, when he was standing there. Don't want to confuse cause and effect, but so you not only have to defend this ramp, and the cover is destructible, but you have to strike out into the map, which is fairly large, or actually it's fairly compact. So the opposite of large. Like, the disruptor is fairly far away, but on a small map. You have to strike out and attack this disruptor. You can't miss the disruptor when you're within range, and it seemed to have like 20 hit points, and be fairly easy to cut down with a soldier or two. It would take one soldier, it looked like about 3 attacks with the magnetic weaponry. But it's what's keeping the Avenger grounded. And you have to strike out and destroy it while the map is heavily populated with enemies. I think we saw 4 pods initially, and after a couple turns, starting on like the 3rd turn, it looked like reinforcements dropped in every single turn. Enemy reinforcements popped in, and then the number of reinforcements started at 2 enemies and ramped up to 4. It was all pretty standard Advent stuff, but we did see a Muton and a Berserker. I think and there were tons of sectoids initially on the map. So expect like to be on a timer called enemy reinforcements the whole mission. And once you destroy the disruptor, you then have to pull all of your troops that are still alive back to the ramp to escape. So it's going to be important to strike out towards the disruptor. A ranger that begins concealed, since you do not start this mission with concealment, a ranger who has the ability to begin concealed no matter what, the ghost maybe, is really important. So because they will let you scout the initial troops on the map, which there were a lot of. In the base defense, I saw Christopher Odd tackle. 45 enemies appeared on the map, whereas most missions have 9 to 12, 45, and he did quite well to escape at all, with only 1 loss. So in this one, I think medikits are going to be really important. Having 9 soldiers was really important. So note that you definitely want more than 1 full squad of troops to be leveled up and experienced. And his Overwatch, careful use of Overwatch to kind of spawn camp the enemy reinforcements was critical to his success. A couple times he got really lucky and kind of squad wiped the people dropping in a massive barrage of fire that wouldn't be possible without careful choices. I noted that his Killzone Sniper was incredibly useful, and I would think any of the specialists that focused on Overwatch would also be incredibly useful. Plus healing would have been great. He had like 1 medikit for the whole mission, and that was not enough, in my opinion. Still, not bad. So, what missions don't we know about? Well, maybe there's an underground alien base. It's always fun to assault one of those, like an extra black site, or some sort of, I don't know, umbral site, perhaps. And, you know, there's probably an assault on the Avatar Project headquarters. Certainly there's some sort of massive alien ship, because everyone wants to see a cutscene where a giant alien ship, like, rears out of the ocean or parts the clouds. And who knows what else. Very excited about that, to figure out what other additional mission types and
incoming transmission
there are. Day 22, Tactics, Environments. So the environments we know about are the slums, shanty town, small town, wilderness, city center, and that there are UFO maps. If there are more locations, I'm sure there's different types of wilderness. I would say the slums, shantytowns, and small town are all probably about the same. You can expect a couple buildings, vehicles, and to blow up. I've noted there's some gas tanks that can be exploded, and expect heavy cover. Expect the human structures to be highly destructible to your grenades. So bringing extra grenades on those kind of maps would be nice. But unfortunately, you generally, from what I can tell, won't be able to tell what kind of map you're going to be on. The wilderness is nice, probably great sight lines. I've noticed they put in a lot of ridges, which guarantees you'll have some high ground that your snipers can take advantage of. So that looks nice. Probably good lines of sight. No buildings. Buildings tend to add concealment to the game, where you can not even be seen by the enemy. But out in the wilderness, where there's only trees and sparseness, like in the Avenger defense, it can be very difficult to actually hide your squad without concealment, because the lines of sight are so open. But that also makes it great for snipers and other long-range characters. City center, much like the slum shanty and small town, except made out of more Advent-like material, probably giving the environment more resistance to destruction. You can expect kind of monuments that are similar to trees, and numerous buildings that will allow you to conceal your squad on the roof or on the other side of them from enemies, and breaching actions, which just won't be possible in the wilderness. And then UFOs, it depends. Smaller UFOs won't have decent breaching options because they won't even have doors, from what we've seen in XCOM 2012, and I think I've seen from screenshots. But the larger UFOs will allow for numerous breaching instances and offer a high degree of concealment, where they're often very compartmentalized, so that you can actually take out one room, get all your guys right up next to the doors, open up into the next area and assault. So that's exciting.
Incoming transmission.
Day 22, disposition, human error. So we all know to err is human, and how have medical professionals dealt with the high risk of them erring in lots of small ways all the time? The answer is the same as Air Force pilots. That is a pre-mission checklist. So I encourage you very strongly to come up with a personal pre-mission checklist, and here is what I would suggest. First, you should consider your objective and the indicated difficulty of the mission. What do you have to do? Does it involve hacking? Should you bring a specialist who's good at hacking, or at least a gremlin? Does any class seem like they'll be better? Like, is it an assassination mission where a ranger who can conceal themselves multiple times and a sharpshooter might be a great combo for, completing that objective? Is it a VIP mission where you need extra scouting, or you won't begin concealed? Think about the type of mission and the difficulty carefully before you select your soldiers. When you do select your soldiers, make sure you get one of every class, would be my suggestion. Or that if you don't, that you get two that synergize well with what you plan to do. You want to check classes, then you want to check weapons, then you want to check armor, and then you want to check pockets. That is, do you have the weapons you want? Are you equipping the right armors for your soldiers? And then what do they have in their pockets? Is it all the grenades? For one, you want a couple things you don't want to do without. You don't want to have no healing. You always want to have access to shredding capabilities, like acid grenades, if you're not bringing grenadiers that can shred. And this is something engendered by Long War, you want to have a mixture of experience. Like, I tried to bring one rookie every mission in Long War, later in the game, because unfortunately a mission full of rookies was just going to get slaughtered by late game enemies. In the vanilla XCOM experience, this isn't going to be as necessary, but you might consider, if it's an easy mission, bringing a rookie or a lower level soldier to share that experience around and create a robust barracks. So once again, my pre-mission checklist would be objective, difficulty, classes, weapons, armor, pockets. And then you want to tick off healing and shredding and consider bringing a rookie or not. The same goes before every action. A great way to eliminate human error is to use a pre-turn checklist, where at the beginning of your turn you assess the situation. First off, you want to consider what is the optimal end of the turn. Like, where do you want everyone to be positioned? Who do you want to be on Overwatch if possible? Should anyone be reloaded? Which classes benefit most from starting in a position where they don't have to move? Like snipers and specialists who can, sharpshooters and specialists, who can use both of their actions really efficiently to do lots of things, like aid protocol and then Overwatch, or multiple pistol shots. So what's the optimal end of the turn? Then you want to look at the map. You want to say, what enemies are overwatching or suppressing me? What is the immediate danger? Or targeting me with their giant death lasers or missiles that they're charging up? So what are these immediate threats? Then you want to look at what grants you guaranteed results, what grants you likely results, where can you get results safely but not particularly excellent results. Like, well, we've got 3 60% chance shots against this guy and we can stay behind heavy cover and be fairly safe against him, but that's like not really super efficient actions. What is risky but rewarding, where it's like, oh, I could run in and slash this guy, but if he survives with 1 health, then my soldier is going to be flanked and probably chewed up and spit out, and we'll be lucky if they live. And then what do you absolutely have to do? You're like, oh, you know what? I have to retreat to the Avenger ramp. Everyone absolutely has to be within sprinting distance at the end of this turn of that ramp. So once again, you want to consider what's the optimal end of the turn. And that is all the aliens are dead and I'm within sprinting distance of the next map. And then you want to think about what is threatening me right now. Overwatch, suppression, am I being flanked? Is the Sectopod charging something? Is the Archon targeting missiles? Is that Berserker going to kill someone next turn? Then you want to look at what you can guarantee you can do with like grenades and no miss abilities, stocks on weapons, possibly the gremlin abilities, gremlin damaging abilities. And then you want to think of likely results like your psi abilities or your 80% chances to hit, or or the chance that you'll kill someone with your sword when they only have like if they dodge or you miss, it won't happen, but otherwise they're certainly dead. Then you want to think about safe but unlikely ones where you could just kind of spam attacks. And then of course the risky but awesome ones, you'll know those when you see them. They're the tempting ones that you really should try not to do most of the time. And then you have to think about what is absolutely necessary, because even though you could do all these great things and it might help you, advance like the overall goals of killing all the aliens, like there are things that override all of that. Like, are you running out of time? Like, do you have the perfect shot but you have to pass up on it to hack a workstation? That's something that overrides everything else, and you should think about that last so that you don't accidentally do some of the things that seem like a good idea or even are a good idea, but unfortunately you have to pass on to achieve your required goals. Lastly, you want to occasionally just reality check everything about the game. When you're at the strategy game, you're like, man, I'm doing well. or man, I feel like I'm doing poorly, that's a good time to give yourself a reality check. You want to think about, what are my goals currently? And check that top left of the screen and be like, oh yeah, Advent Corps. I actually have one of those. I could do that research. Or man, okay, I should make sure, to capture an Advent with the Skulljack next time, I should be extra safe. Let me take a unit with suppression on the next mission so that I can suppress one of these officers until I can get right next to it and Skulljack it. Because your overall goals can add on to the goals you need in each tactical mission, or they can take you in completely different directions or require you to start researching something completely new. Then you want to think about, am I building everything I should? I'm not wasting my time, am I? Like when I'm moving around, I have as many buildings as possible, all the best buildings coming up at once. I've constructed radio towers on the global map, that kind of thing. I am improving everything. I'm researching, all pistons are firing. Then you want to think, can I sell stuff in order to do more things? Don't sell stuff and do nothing with the results. Like if you don't need the extra money, don't sell things. But if you could do something with the extra money, then definitely sell stuff and do it. Knowing what to sell, look, if you've already autopsied it, if you've already done one research on it, you're probably safe to sell it unless you know you can trade it for something else. Illyrium core is probably always going to be awesome, but you could occasionally sell some if you have a lot. Illyrium and alloys, it's really tough to sell those, but sometimes you have plenty. And things you get really often are generally safe to sell. Advent bodies, sure. You're going to get lots of those, and they're always going to be dropping in Advent soldiers on you. But if they ever seem to stop, you might hoard one or two away so that, you have them if you need them. So once you consider selling stuff, you take a look at your barracks. How many soldiers do you actually have that you could take out on a mission? Do you have at least a dozen? Are all your really good soldiers of one type wounded? Like, do you need to train someone as a specific class? Definitely worth it. Keep training those rookies so that you don't have to take a rookie out on a mission. Like every time a rookie comes out of that, is it the Advanced Warfare Center? Yeah. Then make sure another one goes in, because why level them up on a mission when you could train them at the Avenger very safely, and the first time you take them out they're going to be little badasses. You want to look at how your personnel are assigned. You want to occasionally consider whether that should be changed or not. And then you want to think about, what can I buy? What can I research? What can I acquire? Do I have extra intel I can take to the black market? Can I buy extra scientists and engineers? Like, can I sell stuff to buy those? So once again, here would be my reality check checklist. What are my goals? Am I building everything I can? Can I sell stuff? How's my barracks? How are my personnel assigned? What can I do next? Alright friends, that's it for day 22. If you enjoyed this content, please go ahead and like this video. If you'd like to see the next Advent calendar video as soon as it comes out, please subscribe to my channel. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the character pool, customization, and getting your head in the game.